Hello, my friends. Hello, it's Matthew Street. Welcome to my channel. As always, I truly appreciate you being here. And folks, you have to admit it, the Beatles were marginalized for years before they began to become properly celebrated and revered in their hometown of Liverpool. I was over there during the lean years, folks. When I was in the United States Air Force, as I've told you, I was assigned for over 2 years to two twin RAF bases, RAF Bentwaters, RAF Woodbridge. They were in East Anglia, Suffolk, I believe, in the UK, near Ipswich, a town called Ipswich. And I took advantage of being over there, folks. Traveled all around the UK, parts of Europe, had a great time. Obviously, I went to Liverpool on several occasions, being the Beatles freak that I was and am to this day. And the Beatles were not as celebrated, though, in Liverpool when I would go up there. I saw Liverpool as it was the old Liverpool, before the monuments, before the statues to the Beatles, before the Hard Day's Night Hotel, before the Magical Mystery Tour bus, which took you all around on little Beatle tours and dropped you off in front of John's house, Paul's house, George's house, Ringo's old house, and here's Strawberry Fields, and here's the roundabout at Penny. There was none of that when I was there. It was just Liverpool. And they, at that time, in the late 70s, coming into the early 80s, the town fathers or town people, whatever you want to call them, they were not too keen on holding up a torch for the Beatles, okay? They were not doing it at that time. But there was still, it was just starting to come in. People were just starting to recognize the potential that, hey, this is the greatest musical act of all time. They've changed lives. They've changed the world. The social conscious of so many people during the 60s coming into the 70s. People were starting to realize we got to do something. So even though officially the town, Liverpool, was not doing anything, you had people, grassroots movements to try to celebrate the Beatles. And there wasn't much. You'd go down Matthew Street, and there might be like a little thing. There was that famous thing up on the wall during the 70s there on Matthew Street, to four lads who shook the world, with the little, figurines of the Beatles up on the wall. I remember seeing that and taking pictures of it. That was like the big deal. But there wasn't much on Matthew Street. It was still a parking lot where the cavern was. It was nothing like the commercial hub that it is today for the Beatles. It was just a little dank, dirty street still. But there was one little place on Matthew Street, and I think I have the address still right here. The place was called Cavern Mecca. MECCA. The Cavern Mecca was a little independently run operation. Not sure who ran it. And they had a little place within the Cavern Mecca called the Magical Mystery Store. It was on the first floor at 18 Matthew Street in Liverpool, L26RE. And this little place was doing their best to try to have a hub where people could commiserate and gather. And so me and my roommate, who was also a Beatles fan, went up there on several occasions, and we always went to Matthew Street, always went to the Cavern Mecca, because they had the Magical Mystery Store. It was the only really one little place in Liverpool, and you could buy memorabilia and books and stuff, and then they had a nice museum, or the best they could do for a museum. They had a kind of I don't want to call it cheesy. They did their best to build it. Nothing like the rebuilt cavern today, but they had a little replica of the cavern where you could walk in and take pictures, and they had a fake, built stage with what the dimensions might have looked like and the arches and all that stuff. But it wasn't like is what it is today. But for us, late 79, early 1980, it was the greatest thing. It was like, oh, a place we can go. And as a matter of fact, I joined that day, the first time I went up there. I got a block. I don't want my full name out there, but I got a card. I became a lifelong member of the Cavern Mecca, that little place that was there in late 70s, early 80s, Cavern Mecca. Here's the back of the card. Life member, me. So let me show you that. Get a gander at that. And life member, Cavern Mecca, Liverpool's Beatle Museum and Information Center. It was the only one at the time. It was on 18 Matthew Street. It was open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Telephone number, Liverpool, Merseyside, England. Okay? Great, great little place. They were trying. They were the first. They were the only one, the only game in town, as it were. And as a matter of fact, the day I was there, I had a unique opportunity with my friend one of the days that we were there. It happened to be a day that Alan Williams was there with Bob Wooler, and they were filming segments for the upcoming Beatles documentary called The Complete Beatles. Who remembers The Complete Beatles? Came out in the early 80s. Well, when I was there with my roommate one day, I don't know if it was late 79 or early 80 or 81. I don't remember. We went several times. But I bought Alan Williams' book. It was in the Magical Mystery Store. Here it is, The Man Who Gave the Beatles Away, by Alan Williams and some guy named William Marshall. All right. Hardcover. And I went up to Alan Williams. There's some pictures in it too. It's an okay little book. I don't know how much, accurate it is. It's basically from Alan's perspective on how the Beatles kind of gave him the shaft a little bit and wouldn't answer his phone calls and when they became famous and stuff. But give the guy credit. Alan Williams, may he rest in peace. May Bob Wooler rest in peace. But I bought this and I said, I'm going to have, I forget why I didn't have Bob Wooler sign something, or he wouldn't. He was grouchy that day but again, I don't want my full name out there, but Alan Williams wrote a little passage to me and signed it. I should have known better. Best wishes, Alan Williams. And he put my full name up top. So, isn't that nice? So this is a great keepsake for me, signed by Alan Williams. Bought at the Cavern Mecca at the Magical Mystery Store way back, like I said, 79, 80, 81, I'm not sure. So that was a unique thing to see them filming segments and see the film crew there for Bob and for Alan. And as a matter of fact, I'm not sure if you see it in the background when Alan's interviewed for The Complete Beatles, but definitely when you see the segments on Bob Wooler, they did his segments in that cavern replica room there. And so you get to see Bob Wooler at the Cavern Mecca back in the day. How many of you people from the UK remember that place? Maybe you can talk about it a little bit with me. Anyway, because I became a Life member and got my card right here, they would send me stuff after. Back then, no email, so it was mail stuff. They'd say, do you want this, or order forms? We got some products we're trying to get rid of. And so here's my package. It came in. But I ordered a product from them. They said, grab these while you can. We don't know how many more we'll have. This is some of the earliest Beatles promotional stuff I think that was ever printed professionally to promote the Beatles and Liverpool being something. You know what I mean? This is way back before they really became a commercial commodity in Liverpool. But mine's really beat up, and it came beat up, believe it or not. I didn't wreck this, but the Cavern Mecca, because I was a member, contacted me and said, do you want one of these? And I bought one. I forget what it cost at the time. It's called they have the Beatles collection, big glossy folder, From Liverpool to the World. And it's basically the same thing on the back, the Beatles collection. And when you open this glossy, pretty folder, that's what you saw inside, all this cool, promotional material. All right, I'm going to do my best here. All right, and there's the bottom of the fold out. And then all these products, which I'm going to show you right now as quick as I can. I don't want this video to take forever for you. But it's in a nice folder. I've taken care of it. It came with some postcards. Again, I got to put the old glasses on here because I want to be able to... All right. And then just to give you an idea what one of the backs looks like. All right, so you got these little postcards. And the backs are all the same. You got the actual cavern. Very nice postcard. There's a great later picture of them. Okay, then you got this thing called the Beatles map, which was pretty cool. And it's like a map of Merseyside that folds open. A lot to show you here, so I'm hoping I can get through it within 15 minutes or so. John, Paul, George, Ringo, the Beatles map, Walton Hospital, where Paul was born, Aintree Institute. I mean, I'll do my best here. You can kind of peruse it, see what you can see. All right, so cool little greenish map of all the Beatles hotspots in Liverpool came in the package. Then you got this thing called Backtrack. Ringo, when he's born, John, Paul, and George. Backtrack. Again, this is some of the earliest material. I don't know if this was made by the town of Liverpool, the city of Liverpool itself, to promote the Beatles. They were just starting maybe to promote Beatles, or this is a private company that was doing this. But it's basically a timeline poster. Okay. Again, to see it all, it's going to be very difficult. I get it. But you get the idea. And it's basically, yeah, you know, the Beatles, when they were born, what happened in 55, what happened in 60, 64, all the way up to 1971, with pictures of them inside. It's called Backtrack poster. Then you get this. It's a record-shaped Beatles singles and individual albums, solo and Beatle albums. So you get all the Beatles albums going from Beatles, Yellow Submarine, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an idea. It's shaped like a record. And you get the idea. Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver. All right, and then the other side is the singles. All right. And individual albums. And Beatle EPs, too. On this cardboard-like record. And the Beatle albums go up to McCartney, only goes up to Wild. Oh, no, it goes up to Band on the Run, Plastic Ono Band, Wedding Album, Sometime in New York City, Mind Games. So, like 73. So I think this set was printed sometime around 74. Okay, mid-70s. And I got it like a few years after that. It was like a leftover. So it's got to be one of the earliest items that Liverpool or somebody in Liverpool used to try to promote the Beatles. The Beatles Forever. I don't know what this is, like a strap or something in plastic. And then I got this, Nothing to Get Hung About, A Short History of the Beatles by Mike Evans. Came in there. Again, with that logo, again, it's got to be, I'm thinking the town printed this in the mid-70s to promote the Beatles. And it's just a quick book, History of the Beatles. A bookmark. Nothing on the back. Okay. The official Beatles fan club. Wait, this is, as you will have no doubt have read the many sections of the press, this is the last newsletter. I am sorry, but I suppose it had to happen. So maybe this came out around the time, 11 years together, where thank you for the many letters, and it's signed by Frida Kelly, March of 72. Okay. Frida. This is our last newsletter for the official Beatles fan club. So I don't know. And then the last thing in here is a Beatle tours, 63 to 66. Okay, so this is talking about all the Beatles tours. The British tour, American tour, European tour, summer tour, Beatles autumn tour. Just a nice fold-out kind of, again, hard to show everything. And I don't want to be here too long for you. Okay, you get the idea. And then last but not least, a big kind of cool Beatles poster I'll show you real quick. The Beatles. Unique drawing, huh? Maybe you've never seen that before. So that's it, folks. This came all, like I said, in this kind of beat up. They sent it to me years later. I didn't bend it and cause the water damage inside and all that. This is the way it came. And I got it from Cavern Mecca through the Magical Mystery Store, and all that good stuff was in it. I'm thinking it's kind of rare. Came printed in 74 or 75. Cavern Mecca was nice enough to contact me and ask me if I wanted one, and I grabbed one. So that's it, folks. What do you all think of this? What do you think I have here? Is it something you think of value? Do you know anything more about it? Please let me know. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.